Hello everybody, welcome to this conversation. Thank you so much for joining me and making time to join into this conversation. I'm super excited because we're going to talk about a topic that is very essential, not only to me as an individual or you as a viewer, but it goes beyond our communities, but also it goes all the way to nations and even continents such as Africa. And this is sovereign asset protection. You'll get to understand what it is in just a little bit because I have with me the guest who's going to expound this particular topic, and this is Mr. Dorglas Arthur. So Douglas, thank you so much for joining me today, and I'm super excited to have you in Zambia, all the way from Ghana. I know a lot of viewers are watching and they would like to understand who Mr. Dorglas Arthur is and what he does.
Okay, Douglas is a development strategist, and I work with Sultanate Holdings, headquarters in Dubai. Sultanate Holdings is being head by the group chairman, Dr. Mustafa, and then they are fund managers. Currently, they are managing a fund up to the tune of 7.8 billion, which is made up of wealthy Arab businessmen. My second principal is Krishna. Krishna is the chief financial officer, which is managing the public investment fund of Saudi Arabia to the tune of 1.15 trillion, which is the biggest sovereign wealth in the world. Now, these guys are my principals, and they sent me over to Zambia today.
Well, that's pretty interesting. Now, let's talk about the topic of why we have in this conversation, sovereign asset protection. What really is this?
Yeah, when we say sovereign asset protection or asset-based community development, this is one of the subjects that is very dear to my late brother, Dr. Kojo Ablode, who is a backstopper consultant for General Salim, the brother of Museveni in Uganda. So diving into sovereign asset protection, when we say sovereignty or Zambia is a sovereign country, what we mean is that what does Zambia has as an asset, and then does it own it? Okay, the ability to own your asset means that you're a sovereign. Now, assets come into two different ways. We have human assets and we have assets in terms of our national resources. All right. So assets in terms of a human, we're talking about human capital. With human capital, we are talking about skills, knowledge, okay, experience, health, and the ability to be able to put your effort into work and add value to yourself for economic development. That is human capital. The underlying features of human capital can be education, skills, experience, creation, talent. Those are the underlying factors of human capital. Now, why is human capital important here? When you have the right kind of human capital, you drive what we call economic transformation. When you have the right kind of human capital, you can be more productive and more efficient as a country. When you have the right kind of human capital, you can attract investment into your country. Now, assets start from people. When we talk about asset development, we are talking about people. Now, development as a person start with yourself. For you to be highly competitive in the market, you need to develop the self. Now, how do you develop yourself, or what does it mean by developing one person? You developing yourself means that you have to grow your mind. The mind has to very much develop so that you can see an opportunity and be able to catch it. Developing human yourself means that you grow your skills. Growing your skills means that you have to, if you're a carpenter, you have to be a master of it. If you're a mason, you have to go into mastering. Because what we know is that average person has average income. But if you're a master of your, what is called your position, or the institution or industry that you are, you can earn a high income. Another way of developing yourself is to develop your savings. When you keep your savings well, that is when you can make a future investment. The other thing about developing oneself means that you develop your character. Get to have, you should be reliable, responsible, so that when you get to bed, you can sleep. Those are the aspects, category of human development. Most of the time, what we keep saying is that it's better for you to work harder on yourself than your work. When you work harder on your work, it means that you earn a living. But when you work harder on yourself, you earn what we call a fortune. All right. So coming back to sovereign asset protection, I sat in a high profile meeting, which the subject was youth employment strategy. Now I asked, the contribution that we give them is that when you talk about employment in Africa, which is a bigger problem, last 3 days I was sitting with the PS, Madam Lillian in Zambia, the PS for trade, and I asked her, what do you want to achieve from now up to your end of tenure in the office? She said, Douglas, is job creation. Okay, so it means that job creation is of essence to us. Now, when you talk about job creation, we are talking about labor. When you talk about labor, you're talking about market. Now, when you talk about market, you're talking about demand and supply. But most of the time, what we saw is that our institutions here create or bring labor to the market that doesn't have demand for it. Now, the president is quiet, the ministries are quiet, and the father who spent his money to take you to school is also quiet. Why should we produce the labor in the market and they are 100% unemployable? So that's what we mean by sovereign asset protection. You have to get these assets, protect them, put them in the good use. China did that. After Second World War, China was completely down, but they took advantage of their demography. They put their youth into bracket from 20 to 35 years, and they do what we call copycat engineering. Today, China is leading the world. Africa is still young. We can take advantage of the youth, because if we don't put them into good use, they are going to be economic liability. And that is the fear. So this is what sovereign asset protection means, because they are our human capital. You have to put them, give them the right kind of skill, what the market is demanding, not what the market is not demanding. The other aspect of asset protection is our natural resources. Right now, look at our climate. We have the best climate, rainfall, our water bodies are fresh, there is a green forest, there are birds, a very potential destination for tourism. But you see the Chinese coming to our country. Do you think they love us? That is why they are in Zambia. They are here because they love what they don't have. We have the resources they don't have. But they have the audacity to call us a poor or a third nation. What is the definition of poverty? Poverty probably is when you don't have assets. That's what you are poor with. But we have assets. Are we protecting our assets? If we have the asset, why are we not using our asset for development so that we can move from poverty? So this is the message that we want to take to the leaders. First of all, identify our asset, protect the asset, and create labor to match the asset. Simply, that is what sovereign asset protection is. When you go down, a little bit down, we have soil. Dubai is a barren island. You understand? Dubai, anything that I eat Dubai today, before it gets to my kitchen, it takes about 3 months, because it has to travel a long distance, and then it has to put in the shelf for me to come and buy. By coming back to Zambia here, I can grow something today, tomatoes today, and eat it next week. I can kill my goats today and have it cooked for me in my kitchen the next day. But Dubai, I'll tell you something, Cosmos, when the leader of Dubai came in force, his target was to create Dubai to be #1 tourist destination. His vision was to get 15,000 people to visit Dubai. Now he has 1 million visits in a day. That is a leader with vision who has used a barren island and turned it to a #1 destination place where everybody, you and I, would like to visit Dubai. So that's what I'm telling my leaders. First of all, identify what we have, protect it against anybody taking it, and create development towards it. That's what we are talking about.
Well, that sounds interesting. I picked a couple of things from the things you've mentioned. First was the point that you said that you need to work on yourself in order for the quality and value to be seen, even in your work, and not only in your community, but even on a national level and an international level. But also, secondly, how Dubai has been able to, transform itself from desert basically, and from a barren land into a huge city that is now a highly anticipated tourist attraction. But how can we bring that home into Africa? How are we able to protect our sovereignty here?
We're protected by our sovereignty by, number one, I will give you a solution. It's very simple. We have Ministry of Education. Let Ministry of Education take the primary education from first year to 7 years. Okay, what should they teach? The primary education should be, they should teach nationalism, patriotism, and our resources. Right now, Zambia has got a lithium. How many people know lithium? The economic use of it or the industrial use of it? We don't know. We only know that we have lithium. So the secondary and high education should be taken by our technocrat. Okay. Then, for example, agriculture ministry can have agriculture education university. Then you create agriculture hub, industrial hub. So from University of the Agriculture, you can get employment directly. Now the industrial hub can take the raw assets from the farms in a small scale so that we can do value addition. We are not doing value addition. I'll tell you something that happened in Uganda. Uganda is a coffee production nation, okay? In 2019, they did almost about 500 metric tons of coffee to the international market. They got only $400 million. Switzerland is not a coffee nation. They did only 96 metric ton, and they were able to land on 1.2 billion. Now, Uganda export more and got less, and then Switzerland export less and get more. The reason, the underlying factor is that Switzerland did the value addition. What did they do? They only roasted it. They didn't take it raw. So I'm telling Zambia and other African nations is that don't let us sell our raw product for it to be turned to finished goods and return back to us. It doesn't make sense. Let's do value addition. Currently with the government of Zambia, I'm mentioning a lot of value addition in the lithium and the copper belt that we have. We are trying to see whether we can create a more e-charging system and data centers so that we can bring electronic buses. So when that is done, now we know our lithium is powering the electric buses. That is what we call a total good value change.
Well, that's pretty interesting. Now, we have elections as Zambia that are coming up in just a few months from now, and I'd like to hear your advice.
My advice is that, which is part of the reasons that I'm here, election is about protection of a human being and then the state assets, because in every election there are going to be sentiments. So in order to protect human life, we have to put security. So we are launching one of our AI surveillance solution, which is used by the AI edge boxes. I am going to have a discussion next week with the cybersecurity department, and we want to bring our AI edge boxes. And what it does is that it can prevent a crime before it happens, or it can prevent or detect a crime in real time. That is what the AI edge box is doing for us, so that life will not be lost, and that we can go into our election and come back with our life intact.
Well, that was quite insightful. Thank you so much, Mr. Dorglas, for making time to join us on this conversation.
Thank you so much. All right.
Well, I've learned a lot about sovereign asset protection, and I hope you have too, because this was a topic I earlier said that you have a little of an idea of just before we started the conversation. But I think for now, I'm pretty impressed with the information I've already gotten. A lot of numbers were thrown around, and I'm super delighted and basically to know that I have an idea of what sovereign asset protection is. So thank you so much for making time to join us on this conversation, and I hope you've been enlightened by it. Thanks for watching.